We're going to go ahead and get rolling. Thanks for joining us this evening. This is Whatever with REVER. Our class tonight is going to be focused on advanced planning for trips and events. So we're going to go a little more in depth of planning and also organizing our trips. But let's first kick it off with our hosts. I'm Bjorn Bredesen. I'm the Senior Business Manager here at REVER. To the right on the screen and somewhere on your Zoom screen is Kyle Nagel. He's our Product Content Specialist. Maha Blackwood is joining us, and she'll be answering all customer support questions in here as well as outside of here. So feel free to drop into the Q&A section. We'll discuss that in a moment. Any questions you have. Paul Fleur is not joining us tonight. Blake Dragwescu is calling in from Komodo Communications. He is in charge of marketing here. And then we also, across the table from me in person, we have Travis Poole, who's our new marketing coordinator. So welcome him. And he'll be joining us tonight and also learning a lot about REVER too. All right, so what is REVER all about? Kind of our mission is to inspire, motivate, and connect the motorcycle community. At the end of the day, we wake up every day to work on motorcycle technology to help you get the most out of your time on a motorcycle on two wheels, and help you explore in the best and the most safe way possible through the tools that we build on our platform. So that is what we focus on. We're all riders here, and we hope that we can see you out on the roads or on the trails and get you out there in the best way possible. Kicking it to Kyle, why don't you walk through today's focus?
Yeah, thank you. As Bjorn mentioned, this is Whatever with REVER, but we do like to have a focus at least for the first part of it before we jump into your questions and devolve into chaos. So today's focus is advanced riding and planning techniques, advanced planning techniques. We can't teach you how to ride better. And so we're going to do that by defining what a ride is in REVER. We're going to show you how to use communities to organize your rides and events and trips. And then demonstrating our advanced planning techniques that we use to plan out some of the content that goes in here. Then we're going to switch it over to the REVER app for showing you how to download PDF maps. We'll have a kind of a better conversation about what PDF maps are and how to use them in REVER. We'll show you how to find the community that you created to organize your trips and how to share it out, and editing a ride from the mobile platform that you created on the website, and then sharing that all out before and after the ride. Okay, so this is the REVER website, and we'll start jumping into this here pretty soon. But first of all, I was going to talk about what a ride is in REVER and how that's different than a GPX file and other content that you may have used in the past. So a ride in REVER is a shareable file that includes GPX data. It includes descriptions, photos, and it has the ability for you to explore it in 3D and as a playback, whether it's a planned or a tracked ride. And the reason that a ride is better than just like a GPX file is it actually has a smart hyperlink called a deep link that makes it a lot easier for sharing with your friends so that everybody can get on the same page. Like I mentioned, this is the REVER website, and I'm going to go through a couple of different types of rides and then the best way to sort of organize those rides. So first, I'm going to start by demonstrating with backcountry discovery routes. So we've talked about backcountry discovery routes in the past on here in previous webinar sessions. But they are a fully baked multi-day trip through rugged and remote areas of the US. They are mixed surface rides, and they can be ridden in one shot or they can be broken up into the individual parts. And it's those individual parts that I really want to focus on for this advanced planning session. So what I'm going to do is go and discover where those BDRs are, where that route content is. So up in the upper left, I have this Discover tab, and it's broken out between paved, adventure, and off-road. I'm going into adventure here, and here's the BDR logo. So I'm going to show all the routes on the map here, and then I'm going to start zooming into my area. So this is the full Idaho route here, and tilt the map up with this north up button right here. But that's the full Idaho route. You can see that. And then you can see the different sections of it as you zoom in. And a GPX file can actually include several different tracks, but in REVER, a ride is just that one simple focused track at a time. And what that allows you to do is really focus on what the makeup of that ride is, whether it's going to be something that you plan through town, the quickest way with A to B, or it's something that once you get into the highways and byways, you want the twisty route, or it's when you want to go off road and you want to plan with our advanced off-road planner. So these are the three routing engines that we have. Um, each one of those can be done with a single ride, and then you can put all these rides together with a community. So that's what we've done with BDR, and that's what I want to show you. Okay, so we're going to get into planning a specific ride here in a bit, but I wanted to show you at least what the ultimate goal is with each of these individual rides. So, like I said, you can break them up between sections, between purposes, and you can include a description of each individual ride. And you can throw those into their own community here. So this is the Idaho Backcountry Discovery Route community. Right here, this ellipsis, I can share a deep link. So you can take this link and you can email it, you can text it, you can publish it on a website, and that's going to take everybody to your community page as long as it's a public community. So here's the makeup of the Idaho BDR. It's got all the routes here. I can show them on the map. I can look at them in list form. And each one is its own individual section. And if I want to learn more about that section, I click into it. I've got my description here. I've got a photo, and you've got an elevation profile there. So that's the benefit of breaking up your rides, breaking up your multi-day trips and your or maybe you're going to go to an area and you're going to plan out different rides for each day, or maybe you're thinking that you'd like to have some easy riding one day or some hard riding another day, and you want to have a bunch of options. Using a community is a great way to plan all that stuff out. So once again, you can plan an entire trip in the different sections that make up that trip, and then you can put them all in a community here. So think of communities as groups of rides.
I have a couple. Can you explain the difference between what a deep link is and what a GPX file is?
Yep. So a GPX file is a data file that can include multiple tracks, POIs, all kinds of data. And a hyperlink, a deep link is just a link to your ride. And so I clicked into that Spearfish alternate, and right up here in share this ride is where the deep link is. And a deep link is just a hyperlink that knows whether you're on your computer or if you're on your phone. And so if you send it to somebody and they're on their phone, it's going to take them into the mobile app. And if they're on the computer, it's going to take them to the web app. Good prompt. So we're going to scroll on down the map. Get over to the Colorado BDR. And this is a place that I haven't really explored off-road at all. I am somewhat familiar with Gypsum and Eagle, as that's the headquarters for REVER, but I haven't really ridden much in this area off-road. So what I might do to get started is take a route that's already built, and I'm just going to start planning over that. But then I might try to find some offshoots as I'm going along. So here's how you can build over routes on the map. You just simply start placing waypoints. So I'm going to put one right there. I'm going to follow this BDR down, and I'm kind of placing waypoints somewhat far apart and with a zoomed out screen, but I'll go back and clean those up a little bit later. Okay, so I'm starting to build out my route. And then I think I want to turn this into a loop. And so I'm going to have it turn off on Frying Pan Road. And I'm going to come over here, zoom into the map. And I'm kind of curious to see where this Rudy Creek Road goes. So I'm going to use, I'm actually going to use our 3D map now. I switch it to satellite, and I'm going to use the 3D to sort of explore this area without knowing what the terrain is like. And apologies for the lagginess on the screen here. Like I said, I'm webcasting, and so it just takes a second to load. Okay, so I don't know. This could be kind of dicey for me, but I'm going to start planning on it, and I'm going to see um, how gnarly this is going to get. And then it looks like I've hit the end of my road, and I may not be able to plan up this part of it. Nope, it wants to take me to the other side. So I have reached the end of what I can plan with the advanced off-road planner, excuse me, with A to B routing. And so this is a great place to sort of end this ride as is. So I'll save that there, and I'll say first part of Colorado ADV ride. I'm going to put a ride date in there. I can put my bike that I'm going to use, and the surface is mixed. And I'm not going to put any other details for now because I haven't ridden it and I don't have a description for it. But I'll save that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to build off of that route by saving as, editing it, and I can pick up right where I left off just by deleting these first waypoints. And let me move the map so that you can see the route a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to delete those first couple of waypoints. And now the last one here is the first waypoint of my new route. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to switch to Advanced Off-Road Planner right here. And now I can kind of build out this route that I think I see. Let's see. I don't know if it connects over here. Okay, so it looks like it's not going to let me go that way. Let's find a place to connect this out. Okay, so I think I see a way through to this trail, and maybe it's just a goat trail, maybe it's not. But what I'm going to do is use the pencil mark here, and I'm just going to connect it really quick. And then I can go, and so this pencil just draws a straight line between two waypoints. And it's meant to connect where there's not road data, where the map doesn't think there's a road there. Maybe a bridge was built, maybe it's a creek crossing, or maybe you're taking a ferry across, 2 points, and you want to build that into the ride. That's what this pencil icon is for. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to start building my ride up this trail. And I have no idea how far this goes or if it even goes, but that's half the fun, is trying to figure it out. Okay, so now I've got that route. We're going to go second part. Spicy ride. And I can put more details in the description if I happen to know that area. But I'm going to save that. maybe later. And then let's say I build out my whole trip like this, and I want to share this out with friends. I'm going to go in and create a community really quick, give it a name, Colorado trip. I type, this is going to be an event for me, dirt, dual sport, ride with the crew and Colorado. We'll put Eagle, Colorado. There we go. And then you do have to add images here. You can just grab some screenshots. And create community. And then I'm going to add those rides. And I can build off of those rides. I can add another admin, which I should have shown you, and maybe I still can. Okay. I'll go back a step. Edit the community. You can add friends to this. Bjorn can come in and add a ride in there if he wants to now. And so maybe you're not the only trip planner in the group, and you want to let other people contribute. But what they would do is then they can make a copy off of any of those rides. They can edit the waypoints, do any of that. And you can add all of your different segments, all the different parts of your ride into your community there. There we go. That's how to organize your rides. That's what a ride is in REVER. It's think super focused. It's not the whole trip. That's what the community is for. I am going to turn it over to Blake, but I kind of want to tee you up a little bit. So Blake is in charge of marketing, but he also built out a lot of our off-road content. And one way that you can find out more about that content is you go to stories here. And Blake has actually written some pretty cool articles on riding in Arizona, riding in Southern California. And then I think, did you do one for Colorado as well, Blake?
I did. Yes.
That's what I thought. So yeah, these articles are great resources. Go and check out what he wrote about them. They'll give you a little bit more insight to riding off-road in those areas. And then we also have resources on PDF maps and just a bunch of other stuff here in stories. So yeah, I'll turn it over to Blake.
All right. Is that visible there?
Yes.
All right. So I wanted to walk through a kind of a real world example of planning out a route in an area that you already know quite well. So for those of you that are familiar with Southern California off-road riding, you've probably heard of Yucca Valley area. It's just west of Joshua Tree. And there is a ton of excellent riding in this area. So if you go just north of Yucca Valley here, there's a small community called Flamingo Heights. Now, west of Flamingo Heights is a legendary wash called the Hondo Wash. And if you look here, you'll see all of the trails that run all throughout this entire wash. Now, this sandy wash area here is lower, and on either side, north and south, there's elevated terrain. And it's a super dynamic area. As you go further west, you get into these super cool fractured bouldery areas. And people have been riding this stuff since the 60s. And I actually learned recently that Honda and Yamaha used to do testing for pre-production dirt bikes in this wash as far back as the 70s. So I've ridden here many times. I know for a fact that you can enter the wash both on Hondo Street and on Tracy Boulevard. I normally enter here on Tracy Boulevard and then drop down into the wash. Now, recently I had a friend who was visiting Yucca Valley, and they wanted to ask me about riding in the area. And I said, hey, you should go check out Hondo Wash. It's super fun place to ride. You can just ride out there all day, ride a bunch of different trails, hill climbs, jumps, whoop sections, everything you want. And he said, cool, is there like a map or something out there that I can use to guide me along while I'm riding? I said, well, actually, there's not. This is all public land, and it's just a huge maze of trails. And not only that, but there's zero cell service as soon as you get west of this community here. So I figured a good way to kind of give him a taste and a sure, safe route in Hondo Wash would be to create something for him. So you guys know how it is when you ride somewhere a lot, or even hike or ride bicycle somewhere a lot. You kind of have a visual map in your head, but that often does not align perfectly with what the actual map would look like. So I'm in the advanced off-road planner here, and I will choose the start location right here on Tracy Boulevard. Now, a tip here, if you are in satellite image, you'll see there are so many different trails to pick from. There is not going to be map data to support every one of these trails. So if you switch over here to terrain, you'll see what you actually have to work with for building a route in this area. So from riding here in the past, I know that you can make a really cool loop that goes out to the northwest. It samples some of that bouldery, rocky area. You get to ride in the wash a ton. There's a variety of terrain. So that's what I want to send to my buddy to ride. So I'll just start here on Tracy Boulevard and kind of start moving northwest here. And I'm just clicking my way forward. Now I know at the western reach of these trails, you get into the Bighorn Wilderness, and at that point, kind of all the trails disappear. So I'm familiar with this trail here. It's a twin track trail with lots of whoops and turns. So I just want to send my buddy out here. In fact, I know that this climbs a bit, and there's a flagpole up here, so I'll send him up there. Now, after that, I want to bring him back on a little bit more of a southern route before sending him back through the wash. So I'll just click through here and let that route populate. Now I'll put him back on this route. And then down here, just so I know that this northern line here, it's a little bit of a high line that's above the sand wash. And it's hard packed dirt. It's a lot easier to ride. I want him to get into the wash and kind of play around in that broken down granite sand. So I'll send him down here and then send him on a more southern route here before shooting him back out onto Tracy Boulevard. So super simple. You know, if you have a clear idea of what an area is like in your head, you can use the off-road planner to just kind of click through and create a route. Now I can just hit done. I'll name this Hondo Wash Sampler. And, you know, if I want to keep this stuff to myself, to my buddy and I can go ahead and go private, or, you know, I can even submit it to Discover if I want. So, can save that. Oh, ride date. Let's do today. Okay, there we go. Now I can just take that link, click on that, email it to my buddy, and he's good to go. He can go ride something that I know well. I can transfer a route to him. I could even put in the ride description here. You can see the elevation profile here. If I wanted to provide him with a little bit more information, I could say, hey, waypoint 7 is an out and back to a flagpole. You don't have to ride that. If you're short on time, just go from 5 to 6 to 8. You can cut that out. If he's taking some friends along who might not be as experienced riders, I can say, hey, that last stretch through waypoint 12, 13 in the finish is really sandy and could be difficult for a novice rider. So right there around waypoint 2, just shoot back to the start. So as you can see, you know, it can be a super effective tool for sharing routes with friends. And even if I just wanted to visualize this route that I've ridden so many times, you know, I can either track it Or since I live in Texas, I can't just go out here to Southern California on a whim and ride this route. I can go ahead and build it out in REVER, and then I know what this route looks like, share it with friends, etc.
Awesome. Thanks, Blake.
You bet.
All
I hope
right.
everyone is excited to plan some rides, get out there.
Yeah. All right. So I know we've kind of focused on the website quite a bit. I'm going to hop into the app and then we'll dive deep into questions. There are a lot of great questions around specific features, but I'm going to take over screen sharing here. Oops, I missed. Give me 1 second to switch to my phone.
And while you're doing that, Bjorn, I know you probably have something you are planning on showing, but also if you want to hop into that community I created, and then show adding a ride to it, since I added you as an admin there.
Yep.
Awesome.
So for communities, you can go into participate. I saw there was a question about this earlier, but if you want to see which communities are in your area, you can filter on the map. So, sorry, let me use the mouse. You can click the 3 dots or 3 lines in this case, communities, and then you would just hit display on the map. And there are those communities. I assume one of these is the one that Kyle built for this Colorado trip.
The one with the photo. Yep.
Oh, yep, you're right. And then I can click into my community there. And I can add featured rides into here as well. So here's a ride I did recently. I can add this in. This is some cool single track. So I'll say sick, like let's add that in. And then I'll hit save.
And so that's actually a ride that you've ridden as opposed to one that you've planned.
Correct, yep. And then there's that ride in there. Cool. Well, I'm going to start in the main screen and I'm going to link together some street routes. And here's Discover in the upper right here. Hopefully you can see my cursor. I know it's a little gray and transparent. I don't get to pick which color it is. I'll click on the Discover routes. These are currently broken out by paved, adventure, and off-road. This will be changing shortly to on-road and all-terrain. So just a little preview. We'll click into here and I want to use Butler motorcycle maps. These are roads that have been ridden and rated on how scenic and how twisty they are. So I know there are going to be some kick-ass street rides for me. And I'm going to turn on the G1, G2, G3. And I saw someone in the Q&A section is like building this in Colorado and they're trying to link together all the G1 sections. I'm going to zoom out and lay those on the map. So sick, there they are. This is definitely a lot harder to plan in the mobile app than the website because I don't have a mouse. I can't drag and drop as easily. I can actually move them and rearrange, but it's definitely a lot easier. And then also the Butler G1s do not display in the planning experience because they're actual routes. But I'm going to go into plan route. I also saw a few questions surrounding this. These are 3 different routing engines: A to B guidance, twisty routing, and advanced off-road planner. So Kyle walked through the A to B and then advanced off-road planner. Blake also did the advanced off-road planner. That would be to like build on roads that are a little more complicated. You have to keep your waypoints closer together because it's using geometry rather than an algorithm. Twisty routing is going to give you the twistiest route between points, and A to B is your kind of quickest. But you can manipulate it how you want to get the route that you want. So I saw there were a few questions surrounding, oh, can I use A to B for this section and twisty? You have to break those up into separate routes, but you can use like A to B guidance and select avoid highways as well. So that's where I'm going to go. And so it's going to start me out. I'm going to also start in Eagle because that's where our office is. And I am using my fingers to zoom right now. And then, so I'll place this point. I'm going to start here. And that's the first part of my ride. And I want to gonna zoom way out. I'm gonna start heading north because I want to link together sections of Butler motorcycle maps and head towards Steamboat. And as Kyle said, you want to be pretty precise on where you place these points. It should snap to the road. We updated that, so it actually should help your turn-by-turn navigation experience because we snapped it more to the road. That was in a recent update. And then I'm going to start heading east to like Rocky Mountain National Park region. If I were planning this far out, it's pretty zoomed out. And like I said, you might miss the road that you actually want to be on. As you can see, it's kind of like placed off the road. So I can re-click on that and go back and then place that point more precisely. And I'm going to finish in Estes Park for this day. Apologies, I'm using a mouse on a phone, which is not very intuitive. So that's 208 miles. It says 5 hours and 25 minutes. I have several days to do some riding around Colorado. So that's going to be my day one. Just start it off nice and easy. Save for later. That's some high elevation, maybe get some altitude acclimation in there. I'm going to write day one. And then I'm not riding my trail dirt bike. I'm going to be taking the T7. This is going to be paved. Then save. There's that first route. I'm going to exit out of that, go back to planning my route, A to B guidance. And I know I finished my day one in Estes Park. So I'm just going to start my first point there. And then zoom out. I'm going to stay away from the city because I'm not a city guy, and start heading south and trying to link together more of these Butler motorcycle maps. There's my next waypoint, put me at 54 miles. Maybe I want to go to Mount Blue Sky, previously called Mount Evans, but you can ride to the top of a 14,000-foot mountain, which is pretty sick. And I want to go all the way to top. I'm not stopping there. Boom. And then let's see. I'm going to go to this town. This town looks cool. 164 miles and fair play. Go to South Park, where South Park's based out of. Set point. And let's just review my route here, see if I want to make any adjustments. This one's looking pretty good. As you can see, it goes on I-70, and I don't know if there's actually really a way around that. I can try toggling on twisty routing and see if it gives me anything better. Oh, look. Shot me down and around. That actually might be better than just going on that stretch of I-70, but this area is also great. I can also toggle off twisty routing, links me back, and then turn on route options, avoid highways, and also see where that takes me. Looks like it still keeps me on that way. Maybe I do want to go twisty routing then. And then add a little more, and that's about 6 hours. So that sounds good for this day. And then I'll just hit save for later. Day two. And as you can see, it's like pretty nice. Oh, almost just typed on my computer. To link together those Butler maps. I know like when I drive to South Dakota or ride to South Dakota, I usually do it once a year, not for the Sturgis Rally. I try to link together some of those Butler motorcycle maps. And it just gives a little more excitement to your journey. Go back out of that. And then also kind of helpful, and there were some questions surrounding this, but points of interest, you can do this on the website as well. Where these come from are from OpenStreetMaps, and you can toggle on points of interest and see where those fuel stations are. There aren't all the gas stations in there. Like I said, this comes from OpenStreetMaps, I believe. And then they get sourced in there and you can get directions. And when you're seeing those on the map, you can see exactly where those fuel stations are, and you can use those while navigating. Any good questions regarding this before I continue on?
Well, since you've got the POIs up there, let's say I've got a question about whether or not there's a gas station in the middle of my route. Can you pull up a planned route that you just did and launch it so that we can see where that falls in relation to one of the gas stations?
Yeah, how should I do that, Kyle? Walk me through.
Yeah, so it's just like launching a route that you were going to navigate, but essentially you're going to put it on the map. So Bjorn's going to hit write it and then follow track line. And now his route is on the map, and we can see where the gas stations might fall in relation to that. So it looks like there's one down at waypoint 4. There's one halfway. Yeah. So we've got a couple options there on our route.
Awesome. Good question. And then while you're out there navigating too, this is follow route line, or sorry, follow track line, which is the blue static line on the map. It will never change. It will never deviate from what your original planned route is. If you use turn-by-turn navigation, it interprets your waypoints. So it looks at your waypoints. It gives you the most direct route between those waypoints. So you can kind of manipulate how you want your route to be using those. If you want it to be the exact route you lay out, I would highly suggest using follow track line. In addition to that, if you go into these map settings and then click one layer deeper in the settings, you can access this through your profile as well. You can disable your screen lock, so that way it doesn't lock on you while you're using it to navigate, which is very helpful. And then there's like a lot of things that you can set up for your customization. I like writing in satellite map style. Kyle likes topo or land use or outdoors, one of those, because he likes the contrasting colors against it. Some of the other cool things is the weather overlay, so you can see what kind of weather is in your area if you want to avoid any storms. Let's see. I don't know if we actually have any weather in Colorado right now, but here you go. South Dakota looks like it's getting something. And that's a great thing when you're out riding. You're like, oh man, I just need to get around that storm, which is very helpful. You cannot change the track line color, but you can change the size of it to make it a little thicker. So you can widen it, and I'll show you how that looks. And then you can put on zoom buttons onto the main map as well. I know we're kind of getting into the more of the navigation experience.
Back to advanced planning. Let's say you just rode this route and you're at the end of it, and now you want to go back to where you started. Can you reverse that?
Absolutely. So I just finished this route. I'm going to go back to the same route. I'm going to hit ride it. And then this is a little funky because I'm not actually at the end of the route. But I can go back into edit ride. Tells me all about twisty routing. And say I want to just run it back. That was so sick. I'm ready for it again. Right here, this kind of reverse arrow button. Don't know what to call that. But if you click that, then it reverses all your waypoints, and then you can just run it right back. I know there was a question on, is that on the website? I think we have the functionality. It's just not released. So hopefully we add that in the future. But you can do it on the mobile platform. So during the navigation experience, you can go do that at any point.
And what if you didn't want the twisty route for the way back? You just want the direct route.
Then I can just toggle this puppy off, and now it's just a regular route. Maybe I don't want to go back up to this Mount Blue Sky. I can click into the stops area, and I can delete this waypoint and this waypoint. I can also rearrange waypoints by clicking, dragging, and holding. I don't really want to do that, but let's zoom back out. I can show you where that, so the route was going up on here, and it is no longer doing so. So now it avoids that, and now you can rip it right back.
And you spent a lot of time planning that route. Did you just change it now irreversibly?
Not at this time. This is edit in full edit mode. This is like a different route, and then I can just hit start at this time.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, so it keeps the integrity of your original route, but you change it for the one you want to navigate.
For sure. We have about 6 minutes left in this session. I know we kind of went through various planning processes and hit a few of the questions along the way. But feel free to start dropping in some questions. We can only cover so much in an hour. We do have a plan to release some short form tutorials on YouTube. So Kyle, Travis, and Maha are working on that as we speak. Well, not as we speak, but dialing that in so you guys can get some quick hit information on how to get the most out of REVER and enjoy your time on the road. So we're going to start diving into the questions in the Q&A section. So drop in any questions you have. Hitting the questions.
Yeah, so
Kyle, what?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, what does REVER Pro cost for the year? So if you want all the premium features of REVER.
So typically REVER Pro is $40 for the whole year, so less than a cup of coffee per month. Or if you wait until next week, we've got a sale coming up.
Yeah,
50% off.
launching Friday.
Yes. Bjorn, Mike asks, he's got a route that he planned for a race. It's a 10-lap series, same route for all 10 laps. Does he have to create a separate one or relaunch it each time? Or can he just keep running it?
Great question. If you are running the same course, I would just have one lap of that planned out or recorded. And then you can just use that for navigation. So Kyle and I just raced the Biltwell 100, which is 4 laps of 25 miles in the Mojave. And so we used it to navigate the course, and people also were able to use it to navigate the course and stay on track. We also used our live ride friend tracking features, so Kyle could see where I was when I was racing before I came into the pits. And that was pretty helpful as well. So I suggest that if you're hitting a race, especially if you're doing 10 laps and your pit crew wants to see you come back in, use the live ride friend tracking, share your link, and they can see your live location too.
Definitely. Yep. And we recommend follow Trackline for that one because it's going to be exactly the route that you build.
Correct. When riding, is there a way to display distance remaining or estimated time of arrival?
Yes, absolutely. So instead of launching it with follow Trackline, you're going to use get directions, and it will tell you how far you are to your destination, and it will constantly update. And if you want to get directions and you want to see your custom built track line, you can actually launch both of them at the same time. Or rather, you can launch both of them. You just have to go back into that ride and select the second option. So if Bjorn hits get directions on this one, he can launch the directions, and then he can collapse that screen by tapping at the top. And if he goes back into his ride feed, he can pull the ride up again and launch the follow track line. So you can actually have both going at the same time.
So there you go. It's underneath as well. So you can run both of them.
Yep. Because remember that follow track line is always going to be your custom built route. Turn-by-turn navigations can change based on where the waypoints are. So it might optimize your route between waypoints, especially if you get off your track line. So you can get turn-by-turn directions, but you can also know exactly where your custom route is.
I can recall the AAA's website travel planner had some nice features for planning out, like seeing services like fuel, hotel, food. Does REVER do that?
Yes, absolutely. So you can launch POIs by hitting the map styles button up there. You scroll to points of interest and collapse or open up that menu. There's fuel, there's restaurants. The campsites are really cool. That's through the dirt, spelled with a Y. And they include a bunch of information on those types of campsites. You've got all those POIs there. Additionally, if the information isn't there that you're looking for, if you use the outdoors map and zoom in really close, you're probably going to see a lot more information just on that map layer. So choose outdoors, go back to the main map, scroll in, and you can see a lot of campgrounds. You can see interesting places to go. A lot of times it'll show where there's restrooms in parks, which is a pretty nice feature. You do have to zoom in pretty close to some of those areas. But yeah, so outdoors map includes a lot. See, it shows a trailhead with a bathroom right there. Um, if you zoom in a little bit more.
Sorry. There you go.
Perfect.
Browns loop. Suggestions on planning a ride to Prudhoe Bay from Portland, Oregon, or any other multi-day trip like that. I think we covered that one a little bit as I was kind of planning around Colorado, but you can plan definitely up to Prudhoe Bay. I would break it up by day as best as you can, and saving that to a community so that way you can access that. In addition, I would always suggest saving the routes for offline use. That way you can access those while offline. So how I would do that is in the app, I would go to my rides, and I would click on my rides, 3 dots, and hit offline. This saves your follow track line for offline use. And then if you want to get the offline maps, you can go and zoom along the map to download that as well.
I'm gonna drop a story that I wrote about planning a big trip like that. And if it's your first undertaking for a bigger trip, keep it simple, go with shorter days, have options to explore and stuff, but give yourself a lot of time and plan smarter and not harder. Give yourself the best chance um, to enjoy that trip. I actually talk about my trip planning experience to Alaska and back, and how we may have gotten in a little over our head. So yeah, if you're planning a trip to Prudhoe Bay, plan smarter, not harder. Leaving my GPS behind for a phone-based system. So Jake has a little bit of anxiety about that due to poor coverage. Seeing a lot of concerns with downloaded maps and wondering if there's going to be multi-state maps in the future. So to the question about multi-state maps, I don't know if that's necessarily something that we'll add in the future, but what we currently have is a PDF map library, and we have some really great PDF maps by state already loaded in there. Bjorn, do you want to show where that PDF map library is and how you can discover some more PDF maps? And for those of you who don't know what a geo-referenced PDF map is, it's the drawing of the map. It's probably the most detailed map that you can get as a PDF. And what we do is we take a digital version of that and drop it on top of the REVER map, and you can even view it in 3D. So Bjorn went into the map styles screen there. He's going down to PDF map layers, and then in Explore Maps, we already have some broken out by state. So these are going to be like the best Forest Service maps, BLM, and USGS. And you can download those if you're planning on going to any of those areas. If you don't find the area you're looking for, you can go straight to the USGS site, and you can download any map that they have as a geo-referenced PDF map. And that's going to include way more information than the Mapbox provided maps that we have. And so there it is right there.
I'm going to put it in 3D here too.
And you can also put the PDF map button on your main map so that it's easier to access this library. And these are great. You can find all the camping sites, you can find the trailheads, a lot more elevation detail, and then there's hiking trails on there too. I know Rever's a not a hiking app, but if you were riding to the trailhead and then you wanted to find where to go hike around, um, you got some pretty good detailed maps right there.
Awesome. Going through the questions here. Kyle, can you describe just a little bit of the different functionality between the app and the website?
It might be easier to demo. Should we hop back into the website?
Sure. I can hop to the computer.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Okay, here's something that's in the website that's not on the app. So if you're planning out your route and you want to see the road that's underneath it, we actually have a button up there that hides the route.
Let me toggle off all these recommended roads so we can see it a little better.
Yeah, exactly.
These are all the Butler layers, and then also I have Discover toggled on as well. So I'm going to clear those all out and go back to create route. Just continue planning this route. And if you're like, man, I don't know what road this is, like Kyle said, you can hide the route path, which allows your waypoints to stay there, but then your route can stay on the map or your track.
This is also useful if you're planning a ride over some of the content that's already in REVER, like a BDR, and you want to make sure that it's on the route that you're trying to trace. You can toggle that on and off and see if you're planning right over the top of it. Also, that pencil icon that I mentioned before, that is a website-only option where you can draw a straight line between two waypoints. And then currently in the app, you can upload a GPX file, but you cannot export a GPX file from the app. You still can do it from your phone, but you would end up going to the website here and export that GPX file. So that's a website only option at this time. We may add that functionality in the future.
I don't see a specific question regarding this right now, Kyle, but I saw one earlier in the session. Do you mind explaining what AI Route Scout is and why? What is that? What's that do? Tell me about it.
Yeah, you bet. AI Route Scout was our solution to not having Butler map segments all over the country. So Butler map segments are the best places you could possibly ride a motorcycle. You can see the G1s, G2s, and G3s there. Great stuff, but there's not content everywhere. And we wanted to put similar segments on the map in places where there isn't Butler content. So if you toggle on that AI Route Scout, and it is going to be a little bit different zoom level, so you have to zoom in a little further. But we had AI identify these segments, and a line on the map in theory should be unimpeded by a stop sign, by traffic lights, by any kind of a traffic stop. It should just be one flowing segment. And then the color coding of these is going to tell you how exciting that road is as well. If it's blue, it's cooler, it's a little bit more tame, not as twisty, not as scenic, not as close to water. And then if it gets to pink or red, then that's a little bit more exciting segment. So AI Route Scout is available for most of from like the Midwest to the Northeast and Southeast. And in the next couple of weeks, we'll have the rest of the US covered. And then we'll look at expanding outside of the US, but in those places where there's not Butler content.
Perfect. Is there a way to avoid unpaved road at this time?
The way to avoid an unpaved road is to not go down it with your motorcycle if you don't want to. That data is actually really hard to determine. And so the best way to avoid unpaved surfaces is to look at the content that we have in the Discover group paved and just follow those routes. We're always adding to those with community curated routes. So when people submit us their rides, they let us know what kind of surface that is. So you can go into Discover, You can go into featured rides or community curated under the paved Discover group. And that's kind of the best way to tell.
Moving on to the next question. Can you detail how to export a GPX file and get it onto a Garmin? Kyle, do you want to walk me through that? I don't have a Garmin plugged in, so I can't showcase that portion of it, but I can talk you through it. And we also have a YouTube tutorial on that too.
Yeah, so if you go into your rides and you want to export a planned or a tracked ride, you go down there and that under GPX, it says download GPX. So you click that. And we added this feature. I actually don't know how long ago we added it, but it hasn't been updated in about 4 years. There's all kinds of options on there. For 90% of our users, track static line is going to be the best option. And it does export your waypoints as well. And so you click that track static line, it's going to download your file. And then however you want to get that into your Garmin, that you can do it through Bluetooth now. You can do it through the app, or you can just plug your Garmin into your computer and transfer the file over. But the important part is once you get it there, it's going to come in as a track, and you can convert that track to a trip. But if you don't want it to recalculate in between the waypoints and change your route, you need to go into your settings under navigate and then off route recalculation and turn it off. So that was a lot of steps, but you download the track line, you get it into your Garmin, whichever way, and then it's going to be in there as a track, and you can just convert it to a trip and turn off route recalculation.
Awesome. Where will this recording be after this session?
YouTube. We're gonna get it onto YouTube probably by Friday, and everybody who's on the call will get a follow-up email letting them know. And then if people aren't on this call, they can find it organically through YouTube. REVER Moto is our channel.
Where can someone access some or acquire some REVER swag?
It's a great question. Travis, do you have an answer for that?
Yeah, revzilla.com. Find some hats, t-shirts, anything you want.
Yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely.
Or visit us at an event. If you're at an event that we're at, we always have like some swag, sunglasses, buffs, stickers. I just dropped in the 7-panel trucker hat into the chat. We only have a few of those left, so if you want one of those, buy those.
Yeah, and we're going to be out at the Touratech Rally on the West Coast in Plain, Washington at the end of June, and then we're going to be at Get On Adventure Fest in July in Sturgis, or the Black Hills rather. Where else are we going to be, Bjorn?
Be on the Devilstone run with Go Fast Don't Die. I think we're gonna go to the Whalen Wayne rally. I believe that's what it's called.
Yeah, the Wayland Wayne weekend is the beginning of September. We're going to send Maha out there and probably Travis.
Yep. The first 5 days of Sturgis motorcycle rally, I think our young gun Travis might be hanging out there, which will but yeah, I think that's it for our event list at the moment.
Yep.
All right. Any more questions before we sign off? Yeah, just want to say thank you for spending your evening with us. We are extremely grateful for you and stoked that you want to get out, explore, and use REVER to do that. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much and have a wonderful evening.